This is BYU Sports Nation, brought to you by the BYU Store, simulcast on BYU TV and BYU Radio. Now from Studio B, your hosts, Spencer Linton and Blaine Fowler.
BYU Sports Nation is live, your day-to-day play-by-play in Studio B, presented by the BYU Store, official outfitter of BYU fans everywhere. Thursday, July 7th, wherever and however you are connected. Wonderful to have you with us. I am Spencer Linton, teamed up alongside a man and a good friend in the current edition of Studio B for the final time ever, Blaine Fowler.
Which I can't even believe. It feels like one of the greatest honors of all of my appearances over all of these years. More than 8 years here, 8.5 years, right?
8.5 years
here in Studio B.
In Studio B with this version of the set.
And I have to admit, I knew that coming in. I'm a little melancholy about it because I'm thinking back over history. It brings back some really cool memories, some great moments we've had on the show here. But I immediately started to peruse the set to see what I am going to take. Because I'm going to take something before it's all said and done from this set. And I'm not taking some of the stuff I gave. It's like when you go to the temple and everybody puts their shoes. Like I typically trade up when I leave. I get better shoes than I came with at the temple. Is that bad?
No.
So I have to say I might be. I don't know what size those yellow shoes are on the back wall, those Nikes, but
you got your eyes on the Josue.
After I did a little perusal of the set, I might be taking those shoes with me at the end of the day.
You like the neon yellow
but it
shoes.
is. It feels like the end of an era, even though the show just completely keeps going on.
Yes.
Go into a temporary studio while they redo this one, but what an unbelievable run you and Jerem have had with this show, and those of us that get to come fill in once in a while when you guys are out. It's been amazing, and hopefully it's just the start of another 8 or 10 or however many year run, just with different stuff around us.
Yeah,
right?
hard to believe we're approaching 2,300 episodes all time.
Yeah, that's amazing.
And
when it all started, we were all pitching and thinking about the idea. We're like, is this something that'll be good and they can go long term? Is this something people will watch and listen
pushing
to?
a decade.
It is.
We're pushing a decade.
It's been awesome. You guys have done an amazing job.
Hey, it's your advantage for being here on the final day of this set in Studio B. And I know, hey, the Josue Rivera shoes, those are legit. You might have to fight Jerem for those.
They're pretty sweet. They're pretty sweet. Maybe later we'll give you guys a chance to peruse the thing with us and tell us what you might take.
Have a live auction on BYU Sports Nation.
We could do that. We could raise some funds for some good charity with that.
Who gets, for charity, right?
Yeah, it'd be for charity.
For charity.
Everything goes to charity after our cut.
Yeah, I've got like 6 or 7, subtly, after our cut.
After our cut.
I've got like 6 or 7 things in mind that I definitely will be taking with me today.
Okay, well.
We'll get to that. More of that later.
We'll talk about that a lot later.
If you haven't figured it out yet, we're getting a new set. We're going to transition to a different studio here in BYU Broadcasting for a little over a month, and then we'll be back in here with a new look set at some point as we near football season in 2022.
And there's a lot of change, and it's not. It is really cool timing, but as BYU transitions into the Big 12, we're making a lot of changes to what we're doing here to be bigger time than it's already been big time.
We got to get ready, too.
And listen, you know, Spencer, I've done a lot of network work over my career in NBC studios, at ESPN studios. No place puts more into or has better facilities than what we have right here at BYU TV.
Incredible.
This studio rivals any studio I've ever been in at any level, and the people that we get to work with from a technical perspective, when we roll that truck out and we go do a remote, it is network quality and then some. And so BYU just does it the right way, but it feels like we're getting bigger as we go into the Big 12. We're going to revamp this set. My understanding is we're going to do a whole new rethink of how we do Countdown to Kickoff that you and I are
That's
both
what we call a
involved in.
teaser, my friends.
So we'll announce that a little later, but we have some really big thoughts about what we're going to do with Countdown to Kickoff and Post Game Live as we're going to do it this year to get ready for the Big 12. So it's going to roll out, but we'll talk about that another day.
Yeah, big things ahead for BYU TV. Again, great to have you with us. I'm not sure the specific number of the show today. I just know we're getting close to 2,300.
It's wild. It is wild.
Typically, I know the specific show, but you know what? It's the summer. Give me a break, okay? I'm on vacation from those numbers.
It's right after the 4th. We're still worn out.
Exactly.
So.
Here is your show lineup today. Football Power Index numbers from ESPN are out. Is it time to pump the brakes on optimism for BYU football based on what FPI says the Cougars will do against the 2022 schedule. Greg Rubell, the voice of the Cougars, will join us to discuss that, his optimistic takes, and what he thinks about all of this madness and potentially BYU and Utah getting back together in a Power 5 conference. Yeah, we've got the latest in the college football realignment palooza.
I like how you called it palooza. And by the way, it's 2293.
2293.
2,293 shows. So there you go.
So like I said, close to 2,300. So. Bring on today's BYU Sports Nation headlines.
Let's start with the latest expansion update. The Big 12 is rumored to be having serious talks with Arizona, Arizona State, Colorado, Utah, Oregon, and Washington.
Okay, so this is not new, but every now entity is getting in on this. First it was CBS Sports, now it's The Athletic, Sports Illustrated. Everyone's joining the party now in that headline.
Well, and there's different spin-offs each time we read a story. There's possibility of a mega conference. What's going to happen? Is it going to be a mega conference where maybe the Pac-12 and the Big 12 combine, or the ACC and the Pac-12 have some type of an alignment, or is the Pac-12 just going to get picked apart and the teams that already went to the Big 10 go to the Big 10, maybe another team goes, and then the Big 12, who's been unbelievably aggressive. Brett Yormark, the new commissioner, wasn't supposed to start until August 1st. Oh, no.
Welcome to the job, Commish.
He immediately had to take his jacket off, loosen his tie, roll his sleeves up, and get to work long before his intended start date. But, wow, has he been aggressive and reaching out and being right on the forefront of this. Nice to see. And so I think BYU's in a great place for that. But what happens with all of this before we're all said and done? So that's a huge that's a headline every day from now until it's 7.
So for the next 2 years?
Yeah, probably for the next 2 years. So.
United States women's national soccer team and Ashley Hatch, BYU legend, take on Jamaica tonight, 5 p.m. Mountain Time, streaming on Paramount Plus for those that would like to watch. The United States beat Haiti 3-0 last time out. Jamaica coming off a 1-0 loss to Mexico. The United States, by the way, has defeated Jamaica 26 straight times. In fact, they've never lost to Jamaica. They're 26-0 all time. Sorry, correction on that. 26-0 over the last 4 meetings. So
so they just outscored them 26-0.
They're crushing them. Yeah, they're crushing them. They got a nice little win streak going against Jamaica.
Yeah, and Jamaica lost 0-1 to Mexico, so the United States has been crushing them. Do you get to go play? Are they playing in Jamaica? No, unfortunately not. Which, if they were, I would be up for that, and maybe you and I would go cover the match, but not in Jamaica.
We're always game for that.
Let's move to Alex Barcelo and the Toronto Raptors. First Summer League game is July 9th against the Philadelphia 76ers, 1:30 Mountain Time. The NBA's Las Vegas Summer League tickets or kicks off today, and it runs through July 17th with Toronto having 4 games scheduled. If you're down in that area, easy to get tickets to the Summer League games. Really fun to watch. We got Alex playing. Remember, Alex averaged 16.8 points, 3.8 boards, 3.3 assists per game his senior year at BYU. Tremendous leader. We're wishing the best for Alex Barcelo in his Summer League endeavors. Hopefully he finds a roster spot through great play this summer.
It's always a place for an elite shooter somewhere.
Yes.
Congratulations to Alicia May Mateo, named to the Women's Golf Coaches Association All-American Scholar Team. She started all 11 events for Carrie Roberts and the Cougars this season. She scored an average of a 73.38 on the course, Blaine. That's pretty good in my book.
Awesome.
Honolulu native grabbed 8 top 25 finishes, 4 top 10s, 2 top 5s, helping the Cougars back to an NCAA regional for the first time since 2018.
And this is huge because to be playing at that level and the time it takes to do that and balance your education so that you have the grades and the academic achievement to get a scholar athlete recognition, it's big time in my opinion.
For sure.
And BYU's had a long history of academic All-Americans in multiple sports. Take a lot of pride in that. Big time congratulations. That is not easy to do.
A perfect segue to Rise and Shout. It's time for What's Trending.
You're talking about it, and so are we. It's What's Trending on BYU Sports Nation.
What's Trending, presented by BYU Food to Go, the MVP of your next event. You know what? Let's just go ahead and get right to it. Hit it!
Countdown to the Bulls.
58 days.
58 days away. BYU at South Florida.
Still didn't harmonize right.
It's okay. We'll get it.
We need to work on it.
Okay.
On the golf course.
The unison. Okay, yeah. First you establish the unison.
Then the fact that I could even start and finish when you did was better than than we've done before. But I really want to harmonize with you on that. So
okay, fair enough.
The entertainer in me wants to be able to do that. So Spencer and I are going to work on that. And at some point, we'll harmonize on that.
It'll be perfect by the time the news sets out.
Yes,
okay?
There we go.
58 days away, BYU in Tampa Bay at the home of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and Tom Brady, who's like 68 years old. But, hey, they're giving way to the Bulls and the Cougars to open up their respective college football seasons.
He's my idol because he's the only guy older than me still playing.
Here's the thing, Blaine. ESPN's Football Power Index, yes, they have BYU favored to beat USF, not a shocker. But we were a little shocked to see the overall projection from FPI. And again, this is a computer projection. These are not people. These are not voters. These are strictly numbers crunched by computers. They have BYU going 7-5 in 2022. 7-5? Everybody else is saying, oh, the Cougars should win at worst 8 games, probably 9 games. I'm leaning towards 10 games.
Right.
Based on what they've done the past 2 years.
On this show a couple weeks ago, I set the over-under at 9.5.
There you go.
Right?
Okay. So does the FPI having BYU going 7-5 make you push pause on the BYU hype train and hit the brakes and slow down just a little bit?
So it certainly makes me step back and go through the numbers in detail. And so I kind of doubling my efforts on my off-season research. I'm going, am I missing something here? And mostly it's about, because I know what BYU is. I'm really confident that I know in detail every position group at BYU and what they've got coming back. That's what has given me confidence.
Okay.
But have I not put in enough time on their opponents? Because I'm going, wait a minute here. And what am I missing? And I think computers have a hard time with BYU. I think even people putting their eyes on folks have a hard time with BYU. With return missionaries, gray shirts, last year with a lot of injuries and guys coming back, it's kind of hard to evaluate preseason what they're going to be any year, let alone when they've had as many injuries as they did last year. But I'm asking myself things like, wait a minute, is Baylor not as good as I thought they were? Because the FPI index makes that game like closer to a toss-up than where I'm like, God, I thought Baylor was going to be really good. Are Stanford and Liberty better than I'm giving them credit for? Because I thought that those games would be. I just marked those 2 down as wins. Although I know Liberty and Stanford have talent.
Sure.
I know, but I felt like, wow, they're like almost 50-50 games. Is Boise State way better than I thought they were going to be this year? I know they got a lot of folks coming back. So now I find myself, after I read this last night, digging into the scouting reports, returning players for these other teams because what did I miss? Maybe it isn't 9.5. Maybe Boise State's better than I think they're going to be.
Sure. And for the record, BYU is ranked number 46 overall in the Football Power Index.
Right.
21 spots out of the top 25.
Right. Now, you talk about the people numbers.
Sure.
If you look at all of the preseason polls, and they're all called the way too early preseason poll, right? But across the board, the teams that are consistently ranked on BYU's schedule, including BYU, who's in most of those polls.
In the top 20 in many instances.
And almost all of them. Oregon is consistently ranked. Baylor's consistently ranked. Notre Dame's in the top 10 in everybody's poll. Oregon's in a couple people's top 10 poll. And then Arkansas's in some and not in others. So to me, it's like, I agree with everybody. Those are the 4 teams that are going to be the biggest challenge. But in the ESPN FPI, if you look down here, they have Baylor a 42.8% win percentage
for BYU in Provo.
Right, and so to me, the way I look at it is, if it's 70%, 65% to 70% or higher, then that's pretty much you can count on a win there unless something happens. If it's 35% or lower, then it's like, yeah, that team should beat BYU. So if it's between 40 and 60, then you're going, well, that's kind of a toss-up game, and they've got Baylor at 42.8%. They've got which I thought, wow, that's interesting. I thought Baylor coming in here with a size and physicality, and I know they lose some key cogs. They lose a lot of that back 7 on defense. Oregon they have at 25.9. You saw there.
They do not like BYU's chances at Autzen Stadium.
And I'd say that's it's interesting because I felt like BYU had a better chance to go in and surprise Oregon because of matchups.
Who is Oregon even? They've got a brand new coach.
Then Baylor.
Brand new scheme.
Right?
They got a transfer quarterback. Like, who is Oregon?
Well, and the one that surprises me, they have Arkansas, 46.4% win percentage for BYU. So they're saying Arkansas is going to come into Provo from down close to sea level for the first time, playing Lavelle Edwards Stadium. And, I mean, that's, like, again, that's kind of in that toss-up range. But I would think BYU might be favored in that one, maybe 55% or 56%, rather than Arkansas. In this, they would be favored in that game. And then how about Boise State? That's the one that surprised me the most. They have Boise State, at Boise State, 43% win percentage for BYU. Yet in their overall FPI, they got BYU 46 and Boise State 47, but they think on the road,
the blue,
on the blue turf.
They're looking at history and what BYU has not been able to do most of the time up there, which is win. BYU has one win on the blue.
Yeah, based on this, they say Boise State's going to win then. I'm going, oh, man, I need to go back and take another look at Boise State. They got Hank Bachmeier back. They've got some linemen back. So who knows on that one. Then Stanford, they're expecting them to be better than I thought they were going to be. They still give BYU a chance to win at Stanford, but 52.9. They're basically calling that game a toss-up. They're calling Liberty a toss-up. They're calling Baylor somewhat of a toss-up. So, yeah, it's really interesting. But if you take it in and compile it all, you come up with what you talked about at the beginning, 7-5 for BYU.
Yeah.
How you feeling about that?
So, again, the initial reaction is, huh? What? And I know some BYU fans out there are like, well, ESPN has no idea what they're talking about. Again, these are computer projections. This has nothing to do with people. They're just putting in numbers, returning production, like margins of victory.
And this number changes as the season goes on, right?
Yes, it constantly updates. It updates week to week. So, in fact, from ESPN, the Football Power Index measures teams' true strength on net points scale, expected point margin versus average opponent on a neutral field. Okay, so again, this is just a formula. It's a mathematical formula, and keep in mind, it's not a science. I hate to bring it up, but in 2017, ESPN's FPI had BYU going 10-2. All right, 10-2. Remember that? 4-9. BYU had their worst season in 50 years.
Right.
You can't account for injuries.
What did they have them last year?
They had BYU going overall. They had BYU going 8-4, but they had BYU favored in 10 games.
Right.
So BYU favored in 10 games, but overall going 8-4, just because some of those toss-ups are going to go both ways, right?
Yes.
Okay, so the question we asked is, does it give you pause? It makes you slow down initially, but no. Then I think about what BYU has. No, I'm going right back to they're going to win at least 9 games.
It makes me do more research, but then after I do my research, I still think they're going to win 9 more games.
Yes.
I'm with you, man. So there you go.
Right there. BYU's going to win at least 9 games. The 3 shockers for me were USF. I thought BYU would be like more than 85% chance to win the game. It's 64.8% chance to win that opener. It's because USF brings back 85% of their production from last year. Yep. That's why. That's why the computer likes USF. Okay? And then you brought them up. Liberty and Stanford, essentially toss-up games.
Surprised me.
At Liberty and Stanford are toss-up games. It's like, ooh.
That one,
okay.
I paused.
All right. Yeah, the pause happened there for me. Our question of the day, when you look at the Football Power Index win probabilities from ESPN, what is your reaction as it pertains to BYU football in 2022? Let's go to Voice of the Nation.
This is the Voice of the Nation on BYU Sports Nation.
Cougar Stats on Twitter answers, disclaimer, I believe the Football Power Index is undervaluing BYU's returning production in 2022.
Which is number 1 in the country, by the way.
And Cougar Stats knows very well this is all about numbers, so they're not putting in the correct value of numbers for what BYU brings back, is I believe what Cougar Stats is saying right there.
Yeah, but that said, nearly half the games are in the 40 to 60% range. The more toss-ups there are, the more volatile the possible win totals will be. So the bigger swings. I think we're in for some close games this year.
BYU was they were favored to win 10 games last year, right?
Yeah.
But it was like Utah, 52% chance. On. Arizona State, 53%
USC,
chance.
no chance. Right? So there you go. So, well, coming up, which piece of set swag am I walking off with today? Especially if Jerem's fighting me for the yellow shoes.
Yeah.
So
he may have issue with that one. And Greg Rubell, the voice of the Cougars, joins us to discuss the Football Power Index numbers. Is he buying into this whole computer model? Is he giving him pause? He'll tell us next. This is BYU Sports Nation.
This portion of BYU Sports Nation is presented by BYU Food to Go, the MVP of your next event.
Trio Orem Senior Living believes in empowering seniors to live life to the fullest. We help eliminate stress out of daily life when you live at Trio. Less time focusing on housework means you can socialize at one of our many events, with safety in mind, of course. And did we mention our spacious apartments with modern amenities? Learn more about setting up a private tour at trioorem.com.
Introducing the Truck for Adventure. The all-new 2022 Nissan Frontier doesn't compromise on power or comfort. This mid-size truck was redesigned to incorporate the latest technology and designs for safety, comfort, and convenience. Plus, with up to 6,700 pounds of towing capacity and best-in-class horsepower, it's rugged enough for adventure and still safe enough to transport all your favorite people. Where's your new Frontier? You'll find it at Tim Dowling Nissan Southtown and South Jordan.
Utah is a special place. Our communities, the people, the history. There is no place quite like Utah. At Siegfried and Jensen, we're honored to say that we are from Utah. We live here, work here, and when someone is injured, we're proud to say we've helped a neighbor when they've needed it most. We know Utah. At Siegfried and Jensen, we're here for you. Call us today.
Hey, Heartland fans! Join us for 14 seasons, commercial-free on the free BYU TV app. Since the accident that took her mother's life, a part of her lives on through Amy and the gifts they share. Grow together with their family as they work through all their hopes and their heartaches. Be there for every moment, every struggle, every triumph. BYU TV has the only free app where you can watch Heartland without commercials. Download it today.
Every game, so you just go out and then you just win that whole match.
I know what it's like to be overlooked, to be doubted, to fly under the radar. I only had one offer coming out of high school, but I was ready for every moment, every opportunity, and every shot that I got. Now I'm playing professional basketball, aiming to be one of the best shooters on the planet. And I'm just getting started. Be ready for your moment with Rapid Reboot, the future of rapid recovery.
TV time into Together time with the BYU TV app. Watch all your favorite shows when, where, and how you want.
This isn't like a practical joke, is it?
No, sir. Immerse yourself in stories with all the feels. Go on uninterrupted journeys of discovery and see families coming together while watching with your own. See new and original content, all for free on the BYU TV app.
This is your guys' song.
You deserve
Our goal, 50,000 books in the hands of children.
Okay, and I can help. Why do you do this? What do you get out of this?
It needs hope, and you need to show that little bit of love.
When you lay down your head. People come here one way, and they change while they're here. It was so great to be a part of it.
This is Battle of the Ages. Two families are going to battle it out in fun and intense games for a chance to win $10,000. Ta-da! Your job is to smack the correct fact. Yes! You are correct. You just made an extra $1,000 in 15 seconds. Nicely done.
I, Emily, take you. You.
Uh-oh. Do not know the groom's name.
I missed it on our first date, and it's way too late to ask.
Oh, my goodness.
Whenever you experience something funny, the first thing you want to do is, like, share it with your loved ones.
The best comedy can, like, increase your empathy a little bit.
Comedy is a great way to, like, easily find connections with a bunch of different types of people, because so much of it is like, we both find this funny, we both relate to this, even though we're going through like a traumatic time.
It's like a medicine almost, you know what I mean? It's like for all of us to do this and nothing is coming in between us. It's just the joke that brought us together. It's powerful.
The thing that's more rare now is comedy that comes out of positivity, and that usually ends up being the stuff that's really successful.
Seeing that comedy like helped us through things, we want to use that to help other people in a way.
People are fighting so much, and if we can do that for people and let them check out and forget that they have a sick one at home or whatever, then that's my goal. That's my goal.
I think in season 6, we had one kid whose make-a-wish was to come to Studio C. You could tell, like, this show meant a ton to him, and it made me be like, man, I gotta step my game up. These goofy sketches mean a lot to people.
On the next Relative Race, animal sounds and acting skills push the teams to their creative limit.
What is happening?
Team Blue takes their immunity in an entirely different direction.
So tell me why we're going this way.
Deshay's journey reaches an emotional high point. And Raymond's life is changed forever.
Mark?
Some of my favorite moments are hearing from the family room just a chorus of laughter.
'Twas your mother's.
We watch it every single Sunday.
Every single Sunday.
We forgot about random acts. We love that one.
Today, we wanted to do something nice for you. You ready for that?
I don't know.
I see that change on him after that show.
Ruby's doing a selfless thing to help others. I can do this.
BYU TV has been an escape and a refuge for me.
It just brightened everybody's day.
I love how it shows how different families work together.
There's so many beautiful things out there.
These are the type of people that really make the world a better place.
That's our family show to watch.
I'm your brother.
And that one has really resonated with us.
That's how to do it.
I want to live my life in a way that show showed me.
BYU TV's show Random Acts is all about catching deserving people's reactions when they get a surprise dream come true. Sometimes the cast gets help from pretty amazing people, including one guy who makes wildly popular videos featuring people running up concrete walls.
Here we are, behind the scenes of Random Acts and Devin Supertramp. Coming at you live.
Random Acts, they gave me a call. I've watched this show multiple times, and actually a lot of my favorite people are on the show. Will Rubell, who's like the host, and then Brandon Christensen, the director for this episode. He actually taught my cinematography class at BYU. So just fun seeing like all these people 10 years later all coming together to make this episode.
Devin is my #1 fan? Yeah, that is news to me because he's been a little mean on set today.
Tough love,
I'm putting in a lot of work, and it's just not good enough, but, you know, I'm going to keep working at it, and hopefully one day he'll validate me.
I'm already impressed, and I'm normally not impressed.
Jumping off the bed, falling down the stairs. Those are accidental parkour moves, but I feel like they count.
Yeah, I was watching some like videos about it, and then I just like fell in love with it. It was just so amazing sport.
Trey is just an all-around awesome kid. And speaking with his mom, he's constantly just helping her. He's always concerned for other people. He recently lost his father. His father passed away just like 7 months ago. He's really stepped it up and taken responsibility and tried to be there as much as he can for his family.
So once we knew that Trey was a fan of parkour, we knew about a local guy here in Salt Lake his name's Kalen Chan, and he's kind of I guess we'll call him a world-famous parkour performer. Devin got excited about it as well, and so it sort of all just fell together. Yeah.
My name is Kalen Chan. I'm a professional parkour and free running athlete. Devin and I have been working together for the last 4 years on a lot of different YouTube projects, so definitely used to this scenario and excited to film some more stuff.
Meeting Devin and Caitlin was like a dream come true.
What do you think about the hosts, Random Acts? Who's your favorite host?
Probably Will.
Nice! That was unprovoked, and he would have said the same thing even if I wasn't next to him, right? Right?
You know, I'm super blessed to be able to have the opportunity to show up and to give him a good time. Yeah, I hurt my ankle last week prepping for an online competition and just gotta recover and get right back into it.
As we create the show Random Acts, it not only has an impact on the person that we're doing a random act for, but it has an impact on the crew, has an impact on the cast, the hosts. Everyone who's involved in Random Acts has a really positive experience.
So for me, I'm just really excited about that process of everyone coming together and showing their talents to the world.
Catch all the action Devin Supertramp brings to his Random Acts parkour video with the free BYU TV app. Or you can watch online at byutv.org. And if you're going to try parkour, be safe out there. I'll see you next time on BYU TV Insider.
The Grinch slithered and he slid, and he did all he did so that he could wreak havoc in the house where he hid.
To destroy the Who's Christmas will bring me great pleasure.
Then he heard faintly whispered, "National treasure."
Huh?
Said the Grinch as he searched for their presents, for he wished to steal
the Declaration of Independence.
Nicolas Cage?
Said the Grinch, somewhat clueless.
Yes, I'm Nick Cage. Now just let me do this.
Do what?
Asked the Grinch, extremely confused.
Steal government treasure from all of the Who's.
Well, go somewhere else. To some Isle or Isthmus. This is my turf. I'm stealing Christmas.
Then I'll steal it first.
You'll steal Christmas too?
I'm sure it will lead me to some other clue.
There's only toys here.
He said with a smack.
But how do you know there's no map on the back?
I'll show you.
Said the Grinch with an unpleasant strut. But all he received was a cruel paper cut.
Ow!
Wow.
Wrapped in a gift, the Declaration, that is. Now both creatures want it, they both would insist. The Grinch wants the present to ruin this Christmas, and Nick Cage must want it for weird Nicolas Cage business. So they punched, and they scuffled, and they wailed, and they taunted, and Nick Cage with a headbutt said,
"This is what the founders wanted!"
Santa, is that you? Why are you in a rage?
My name is not Santa. I'm St. Nicholas Cage.
My name is Cindy Lou Who.
Go away, Cindy.
Are you looking for clues? I got up because I was needing a drink, but pour it on the back and let's see what you think.
There's something on the back. It's just like I said.
It was a message, and here's what it read.
Stop doing B movies. Now, what does that mean?
I should be more careful of who I play on screen.
And then something happened. Well, in Hollywood, they say that Nick Cage's self-respect grew 3 sizes that day. While Nick Cage was distracted, the Grinch did his deed. He snatched up those papers while Nicholas screamed.
I am me!
That's the whole movie, all those in attendance, of how the Grinch stole the Declaration of Independence.
Sequel?
Don't be greedy, Nick Cage.
Goes right. Goes right too!
John 13:17, it says, if you know these things, happy are ye if you do them.
What a shot from the corner from Jesse Wade. We've seen him down a bunch of threes in here. Oh, yeah.
In life, there's so much we know what we should be doing. We all have a basic knowledge of work we need to be putting in, where we're at spiritually and where we want to be. We have to do things to be happy. We can't just know what to do, we have to do it. And when we do it, we are happy.
I think 5A state player of the year as a high school kid and the best player in the state, and he goes to, prestigious Gonzaga, and things just didn't work out. He came here with Coach Rose and redshirted, and then when we got here, just had knee injuries.
I know last year was super, super disappointing for him just because he couldn't get his body right yet again.
There was a crossing road or a point where, you wonder, is this worth it to your body, right? Is this really worth it? All the wear and tear and the grind of being a college basketball player?
Yeah, a lot of people at different points have said, well, it'd be understandable if you just stopped playing because of kind of your experience through college and how it's shaped out, but no, I wouldn't.
So we got 13 switchbacks, really 14. The first one is the hardest one. It doesn't have a number to it, so I should call it 0, but 0 is pretty brutal. See, like right here when you're running up this part, this is where you start feeling it. You've already been going for like 1/10 of a mile maybe, but it's just all uphill. This is just where your quads just start burning. And you still got, we're only halfway up this first switchback. So it's long and it's hard.
Computer projections, how do you process this? Because you are a big numbers guy.
Well, I think we need to look at where they think the landmines are going to be for BYU and why they think they're going to be there for BYU. The Baylor game is interesting. It's a home game for BYU. Baylor is one of the, I think, 5 lowest teams right now in terms of returning production. BYU's number 1 overall. Of course, we see how you can flip that on its end. BYU last year, very low in returning production, ends up with a double-digit win season. But Baylor is one of those teams that has a lot to prove, and this will be their first FBS game of the season, right? The home opener for BYU is Baylor's second game, but I think they open with FCS or somebody low-ranked.
Sure.
So this is their first real test. How does Baylor perform on the road, at altitude, in the heat, with a group still trying to figure itself out against a team returning almost everybody? And it's a 42.8% win chance for BYU. Feels low to me.
Yeah.
Now, let's acknowledge Baylor was legitimately good last year and beat BYU by what the coaches say was a game that could have gotten a wider margin than the final score by how the game was played. That said, I think Baylor's a smidge low. The at Oregon game, a 1 in 4 chance to win that one, again, feels a smidge low for me as well. For BYU. Wyoming doesn't return a lot. Utah State doesn't return a lot. Those are both high percentage win games for BYU.
And home games.
Yeah, Notre Dame, neutral field, but heavy Irish partisan crowd in Vegas. Very low number. Again, it's a mid-season game. How much do we really know what both teams are going to look like at that point? Arkansas at home, I think under 50 was interesting.
Yeah, that's my biggest head scratcher.
Yeah.
I know Arkansas's got athletes all over the field, but traditionally, P5 conference teams, I'm thinking over the long haul, come into Provo. They struggle a little bit at elevation and in the confines of LaVell Edwards Stadium. And I'm just thinking that one I'm going,
Yeah,
I'm
and
not so
not
sure.
that SEC teams do this a lot, but we remember Mississippi State coming in here, BYU taking care of them a few seasons ago. Other than that, the 43% win chance at Boise State seems low to me, only because we all know how those games are played. They're always very competitive, always very tight, usually one possession games, and that feels again a little low to me. So there could be some quibbling. Stanford, to me, feels more better than a 50-50 chance for BYU right now. But I think, like Blaine said before, there's a good chance to have more than 7 wins by the end of this end of this season.
We were talking about the Shockers. The one at Liberty, I was like, whoa, okay. So they give BYU, they're calling us that essentially a toss-up game.
At 58.
I mean, is Liberty awesome this year?
And Liberty, again, Utah State, Wyoming, Baylor, these are all teams in that 110 or lower in terms of returning production. Now, by then, you've got your team. You kind of know who you are. But I think it's interesting that there's maybe not more of a benefit of the doubt being given to a very talent-laden and experience-laden BYU team.
And to your point, it's Albany that Baylor opens up with, so that's quite the turnaround going from Albany on the road to BYU.
Right,
exactly.
in the first real truly live fire game,
And relatable to all of this, people ask me, so this schedule this season, is this the toughest one that BYU's played in Independence, or was last year, or what do you think? And I look at last year in preseason, in the FPI, BYU's picked to win 10. They go out, they win 10. This year, in the preseason rankings, and we're going kind of across the board, so a combination of everything. Oregon seems to be in every poll. Baylor seems to be in every poll. Notre Dame's in the top 10 in every poll. And Arkansas is in and out of polls. BYU's ranked in most of the polls. Have we ever seen BYU in the preseason play a schedule like this? Is this the toughest schedule they faced in Independence, do you think?
Fewer P5s than last year, right? So it's not as many P5s as last year, but you could argue that maybe the top to bottom quality is as competitive as it's ever been. But I always feel like we have to wait until we're X number of games in till I can say, hey, this feels like it's been or is going to be the toughest. I just feel like we almost have to reserve judgment till the end of the year, look back and go, you know what? Those were a lot of good, who ends up ranked? Who ends up going to bowl games? We think back about 1984. The Pitt game kicked things off for BYU. It was a big win at the time. It didn't end up being the kind of win that you maybe thought it would be at the start of the season, but for what it did for BYU in the moment, games like the Pitt win in 1984 are still pretty resonant. But we have to wait until the end to see how they all, I think, turn out to be. Do you mind if I just do a bit of a flashback here that kind of references you as well?
Yeah.
The home opener for BYU is Baylor.
Yeah.
Right? The last time BYU had a home opener, and it was Baylor, was 1984. It was the only other time they played Baylor in Provo, right? So you kind of come full circle to where your last home opener was the national championship season. You get that back this year. It's your last time that you'll play Baylor as a non-conference opponent, then it becomes a league game. That Baylor game in 1984 was the first game I ever saw in person. First BYU football game I ever saw.
As a freshman at BYU.
I was a freshman at BYU. Yeah, I just turned 17, and I got my student season tickets, and I ended up in the south end zone, and I sat in the stands that day and saw my first ever live in-person American college football game. And it was BYU against Baylor.
Please tell them how we threw it all over the place on him.
I was like, this is American college football. This is wild. So I remember it was a sun-splashed Saturday afternoon, hot. I sat in that end zone and just got my eyes opened as BYU beat Baylor to go to 2-0.
Yes.
Right? And then, of course, finished the season undefeated. And here we are all these years later. It's another Baylor home opener. And in an entirely different, framework of, this is now a Big 12 conference preview when that was a game, a non-conference game for the WAC back in the day.
I love it. Greg Rubell is with us on BYU Sports Nation. We need to discuss conference realignment because it has dominated Twitter and social media. In fact, I feel bad for all of my family members and friends and civics because I feel like I have been
Your
glued.
nose in the phone.
I've been glued to Twitter.
In bed last night, I have my phone, and I'm reading like this. And Brenda goes, "What are you reading?" And I go, and she goes, "Pac-12 crap again?" And I go, "Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed."
It's something new. It feels like every 5 minutes, right? Based on whichever national entity is hearing what from their sources. How are you processing all of this, conference realignment? Because USC and UCLA are obviously gone. Do you feel like there are going to be any other major fractures before we get to the actual college football season in 2022?
I think realignment's still happening. I do. I feel like this is still a process. I don't know that it'll be a process that takes us deep into the fall. I think we'll know a lot when the season kicks off. But I think this is still a moving target. And I will start with a kind of a from a selfish perspective, meaning BYU. I'm so glad BYU got where it got when it did. That the Big 12 ink dried last fall.
Yeah.
The Big 12 was in a different position then than it is now, as was the Pac-12. The Pac-12, I think you could argue, had a legitimate chance to damage the Big 12's chances of effective survival just last year, and opted to do nothing in terms of expansion at that time. And that gave the Big 12 the space, the breathing room, the leeway needed to go buffer its membership, bring in 4 good programs, and set the table for the future to the point where now the Big 12 has more leverage, more stability, and the ability to be the poacher as opposed to the poachee. When last year it could have been the shoe on the other foot just a year ago. So I'm very glad that BYU is in the position it's in now as opposed to 12 months ago. And I think the Big 12 is in a position under new leadership to be aggressive and see what takes and see what makes sense. There are some regional fits. There's an argument to be made that a 4-time zone conference, for the Big 12 that takes you from east to west and gives you a western arm, makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. My friend Matt Brown from Ohio, great college football insider, joked last night, look, if BYU is involved in a conference that's across 4 time zones, it needs to be called the General Conference.
There you go. I love it.
This isn't the Big Ten reaching out and just grabbing 2 West Coast outliers and throwing them into it.
Oh.
This is a conference that kind of has a natural kind of flow or wave to the Western Front that could make a lot of sense regionally. And I still think college football fans, guys, want some regional connections. They want that.
With that said, in your mind, would you like to see BYU and Utah reunited in a conference?
Whether or not I'd like to see it, or I think it makes the most sense if that's where the Big 12 is looking, for membership. You've got obviously a natural pairing in the Mountain Time Zone in Colorado and Utah, and you've got a desert pairing that is sometimes a Mountain Time Zone pairing in the Arizona schools as well.
Mm-hmm.
And the Arizona schools might be, I think, the easiest adds if you want to make. I think Arizona might be the easiest sell, or the Arizona schools might be the easiest sell in terms of who'd want to go and why. There's a real strong regional tie to Texas right there. Then again, but if you're going to go Arizona schools and you're going to approach or look at the idea of Oregon, Washington in the Northwest, how would you bypass the 2 Mountain Time Zones?
Yeah.
Colorado and Utah. And Utah's done more than enough, to merit inclusion in terms of brand identity and performance worthiness and all those kinds of things to make your league make sense.
No, what's so interesting, and we were just talking about this, like things change so fast. So Max_Olson, Big 12 insiders reporting, hey, the Big 12 is having serious talks with the 6 Pac-12 schools, Arizona, Arizona State, Colorado, Utah, Oregon, Washington, and is determined to move quickly, sources tell The Athletic. Okay? So we're like, whoa, 6 teams. Would that take it to 18? That's something. Then John Canzano, very reputable reporter for the Oregonian, he says, working theory, Pac-12 partners with the ACC. ESPN likes this. The Pac-12 then pursues key Big 12 entities, Baylor, Kansas, Oklahoma State, Houston, BYU, etc. He says, I don't see the Pac-12 teams leaving for the Big 12 as long as Washington and Oregon remain. So it's just so much speculation. When and where will the dust settle?
And what's real?
Yeah,
and good secrets were kept with Texas and OU and UCLA and USC.
Yeah, how about that? How did nobody know before that one just blew up the college football world?
Yeah,
that's amazing, actually, that was kept down. Is it in the best interest of the Big 12? Because they've been really aggressive. We talk about new commissioners. Remember, when all this was going down in the Pac-12, you had George Kliavkoff, who's kind of new in that role, brand new guy, comes from the entertainment business, MGM Entertainment Enterprises, and really didn't aggressively do anything, as you mentioned, to try to go when things were going down with the Big 12 to destroy the Big 12.
In fact, they made a statement saying, we are fine.
Yeah,
we're good where we are.
We're good to go.
Got an alliance.
And now all of a sudden, Brett Yormark from the Big 12, he's brand new. He isn't supposed to be started yet, and we're seeing his name out there all over the place. He's going, we're talking, we're doing this.
And we're hearing the word aggressive. We're hearing the word galvanized. This sounds like an organization sensing leverage and opportunity.
So 2 major contrasting stories and styles here just in 2 years, right? Yeah. Is it in the Big 12's best interest to go out and to go grab 4 or 6 teams? And does that solidify that conference more?
I'd rather have 16 than 10. right now.
Amen.
You know, and if it's 18 for a couple seasons, so be it. Again, I think it's more what can you do with those teams? What makes sense? I think the 4 time zone idea, there's a lot of benefit to that. I think trying to retain some regionality is important as well. BYU's the outlier right now, right, in the Big 12, the regional outlier.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, you can talk about creating or recreating some kind of philosophical rivalries with TCU and Baylor, et cetera, but BYU would not complain if there were some regional pairings or regional partners in the Big 12 in terms of West Coast travel and West Coast interest.
I told you it would be worth the wait for Greg Rubell. He brought the goods. He brought the goods, man. Okay, so this is the last show we're going to do in this version of Studio B.
The hammer flies tomorrow.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is wild. Okay, but we have one of our just most cherished products.
This is going to get lost in the rubble. I can tell right now.
It's your picture, Greg. Do you? We feel like we need to offer it to you first. Do you need to take this picture and put it in your office?
Well, if you could assure me that it'll be somewhere for safekeeping, if I need to take it, so be it. But I can just see it, buried under timbers and nails. And
are you saying that it has no chance to get on the new set? Is that what you're saying?
I'm not saying anything.
Okay.
Because that decision is way above my pay grade.
I feel like that belongs on the new set.
Oh, thank you.
That's what I feel. It's part of history.
It's great.
Bygone era.
It's great. 3 days before that first game against Baylor. I kid. How old were you in that picture? 12?
It feels around the 12-year-old range.
I have pictures about that same age, and I have really long hair back then. Was that it?
Lush head of hair. Yeah.
So good. Yeah. You're such a good sport.
Oh, yeah. Thanks.
Thanks, Greg.
My pleasure.
Right, man. Well, coming up, the elite voice of the day.
Yes. I don't know how it gets more elite than that. Stay with us on BYU Sports Nation.
This is where we dominate. Our playground, place of business. This is our promised land, where we seek to find ourselves. And we're here to make sure the spaces our best prove themselves on appear how they should. Intermountain Healthcare, official medical provider for BYU Athletics.
Hi, Spencer Linton here, letting you know when your company joins the BYU team as a corporate partner, your brand can be featured in sports programming on BYU TV and BYU Radio. In addition to all of the great games, you can be part of the BYU coaches shows, place your message in Countdown to Kickoff, basketball pre- and post-game shows, and each weekday on BYU Sports Nation. We invite your team to join ours and become a corporate sponsor of BYU Athletics. For details, email sponsorship@byu.edu today. Welcome back to Studio B. It's time to wax philosophical, bring in some nostalgia, and remind you that we are on demand. Download the BYU TV and BYU radio apps today.
Or download the podcast on your favorite podcast platform. Please subscribe, rate, and review.
You know what? With no music, it almost feels right. Like the reverence of this moment, because we, in a way, are saying goodbye to an era, an idea of BYU Sports Nation.
Hey, can you bring the music down? Because we want to talk.
We want to calm this thing down. Okay. Again, we're feeling the nostalgia just run through us right now. We have some tough decisions to make, like primarily what pieces of swag are we going to take with us? Because a lot of this is not going to make its way to the new studio.
Yeah, what should make its way to the new studio? That's the other question, right?
The Greg picture you're in favor of, right?
Oh, I think Greg should carry over. I'm not going to say really what I'm going to take with me, but
just going to hold some things up. Neon yellow Nike shoes.
And guess what I discovered? These are my size.
Perfect fit. Somewhere Jerem Jordan he's
Jerem doesn't wear this size.
He's feeling squeamish.
Guys, Jerem Jordan wears a size 4. These are 11s. So
okay, Greg.
No, I might not be able to take those.
Yeah, I'm sure Greg's probably going to come in here and grab a few
Yeah.
things. Listen, I brought the Dale Murphy signed baseball when he spoke to BYU baseball. That one's going with me. I probably want the Cosmo bobbleheads. There's a piece of the national championship floor from when the women's volleyball team played in the national championship game in 2014 that they brought back for us and signed. I want that.
What about my game helmet from back when I was playing?
Oh, the one the original navy blue helmet.
Yeah, that was
your game one.
That's from my time. Am I too tethered to this thing to go get it?
You and Tom Brady are the only ones that can pull that off now.
I was gonna go get it and see if my cord was long enough to go get it, but honestly, I had a helmet just like that when I was a kid. New York
so
Giants
great.
helmet. Growing up in New York, I had a Giants helmet with a double bar face mask. That's what they wore back in those days. I would put that thing on.
Yeah.
And my next door neighbor had a Cleveland Browns helmet, and we would go out and play full go Browns against the Giants with those helmets on and hit full go. And then
with plastic helmets on?
With plastic helmets on. We're playing full go head to head. You've always known there's something wrong with me.
Now I know why.
It goes back to that.
Now I know why. All right. We do need to get to some tweets, and
Yes, for
specifically
sure.
our Elite Voice of the Day presented by Sundance Mountain Resort, answering this question. When you look at the Football Power Index win probabilities, what is your reaction? We don't like 7-5, Blaine.
Yeah.
We feel like BYU's going to win at least 9 games.
At Ryefish65 says, I already bet my mortgage on BYU over 8.5 wins. So I'm glad you didn't listen to me and do the 9.5, right?
At Quinny on Twitter says, I like being underestimated.
There you go.
Okay.
Okay, Mad Eye Cosmo says, to quote the great and powerful Aaron Roderick, stats are for losers.
One of my favorite sound bites
great.
all time in the history of Aaron Roderick being a coach at BYU. Stats are for losers. Well, unless the stats are really good, because then stats are for winners.
Yeah, and Luke Balaco on Instagram says 7-5, 3 question marks. They did us dirty.
Yeah, the computers.
Yeah, the computers.
The computers did us dirty. Okay, now for the Elite Voice. Okay, the elite of the elite. Lame Then Carol on Instagram says, freezing cold take. Okay, bookmark that one. The ESPN FPI preseason when BYU well exceeds that. We'll come back and we'll send that to freezing cold takes.
I'm sticking. This made me pause. I went back and did more research. I'm sticking with my 9.5 or more. Which means that you can't win 9.5.
Over under 9.5.
Yeah,
Wow.
9.5 is my over under.
I like it. Today's Rise and Shout Out presented by Mountain America, the official credit union of BYU Athletics. Yes, to this iteration of Studio B, my friends. It's been an 8.5-year run in the studio. Today is the last show on this currently constituted set. Things are changing. It's going to be a fun couple of months. Thanks for hanging out, Blaine.
It's good to be here on the last show in this studio. I love it.
For Blaine Fowler and our guest, Greg Rubell, I am Spencer Linton. Let's give a shout out to Mark Bellini. We'll see you on Monday in a new studio.